Hello, and welcome to the first of our loyalty discussion video series. I'm here today with Fidel's EMEA Head of Business Development, Sina Saidinayer, and White Label Loyalty's CEO, Achille Traore. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Nice to be here in my living room.
Great to have you. So to give you some introductions, Fidel is a leading API provider for linking bank cards to applications globally. And White Label Loyalty is a loyalty platform provider who works with enterprise businesses to deliver rewarding customer loyalty experiences. And so from that, you can probably guess that we have tried to bring together the most eligible and authoritative figures to discuss the topic of card linking in customer loyalty. So the reason why this is so timely and essential is because gaining first-party data and being able to directly interact with customers are two of the most important issues brands run into nowadays, especially in these times. But perhaps I should let our experts tell you more. So, Sina, can you kick us off? And could you please explain kind of the idea behind card linking? Where did it come from? What does it do? How can it help?
Yeah, sure. And thanks very much for having me. So the idea behind card linking is to allow people to link their payment cards and a credit debit card directly to a rewards program. The origins of it, I don't exactly know. I know that it's been around for many years, but how Fidel sort of stumbled upon technology was back in 2014, actually, when we started off in 2013 as a B2C loyalty proposition for SMEs. We created a data capturing element. Back then was iBeacon and QR technology, POS integrations. We had a data sort of marketing platform, and we provided a front-end app for our clients. Now, we embarked upon this technology because this friction at point of sale. So when someone goes to their business and they have to flash their app and get someone on the other side to do something was too much, and it was quite prohibitive to scale, and also the data that came out of this was very limited because some people did and some people didn't. So we looked at various ways of identifying customer at point of sale or at the moment of payment without having to do all these other what we consider unnecessary things of scanning a QR code or training up the staff or integrating in POS systems. And we looked at various ways. We looked at directly integrating with PSPs and then acquirers or the banks. At that point, open banking was on the rise, but the banks were not as open to open that data as they are now. And so we saw this technology out in the US, and we sort of set up a mission to try to acquire this, the data ourselves. It took us about, I would say, 2 and some years to navigate via the legal loophole and then the integration and the build. And when we came to this sort of end bit where we had to become PCI compliant to actually access the data, we decided that actually there's a bigger use for this. We've built this beautiful integration into Visa, MasterCard, and later on with Amex. And whoever that wants to access the data would have to jump through the same hoops. So why don't we just become that intermediary to be able to connect the dots? Now, that was a tough decision, but a very necessary one, and something that really changed the direction of our company to become this enabler API player. So we called up our then competitors, today clients, and said, do you want to take over our clients, but also we have a better way of helping you guys acquire the customer data. And so ever since then, 2017, we've never looked back and been on the mission of making transaction data accessible for innovators like White Label Loyalty to build cool stuff on top of it.
That's incredible. It's great to see how you have pivoted the strategy and going from one thing to another depending on how the market has changed. That's incredible. You mentioned that you started off as a loyalty proposition as well, but you've kind of pivoted towards more focusing on the payment data. That's so interesting.
Yeah, correct.
That's really cool. So, Achille, a question for you. Obviously, you know a lot about customer loyalty. And you have worked with Fidel before, and you have worked with other companies who have used card linking in customer loyalty. So, could you shed some light, perhaps, on some of the key benefits to using card linking in customer loyalty?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, hello everybody, by the way. I think one of the core things is to actually start defining what is loyalty. I think there's so many misconceptions about loyalty, and at White Label Loyalty, we broke it down in a really simple 3 stages. So loyalty is about data, that's it. So you need to make it easy for people to give you data, have the right tools in place to make sense of that data so you can make data-driven decisions. And so that's kind of our motto. So where card linking comes into that ecosystem is the fact that card linking present a very clean source of data. So when you get this card linking data flowing through, we use that in our loyalty engine then to kind of allow easier segmentation, deeper understanding of customer, and then we kind of combine that with other data sources to enable clients to make data-driven decisions. So in terms of the customer perspective, I think card linking provide probably the most frictionless user journey for customer. You just enroll your cards and you can start transacting with participating merchants. And that's kind of a big stumbling block for a lot of loyalty programs. And it depends on the kind of use case that they are looking for. But, I think the core of the proposition needs to be that ease of use. And there are some examples as well where you have businesses with multiple point of sale systems. It's very hard for them to try to integrate. And exactly what, like Sina said, what they tried to do in the past. With card linking, you can overcome that quite nicely. And I think also especially now during COVID, the offline and online element becomes even more important because you're using the same card whether you shop online or offline.
Yeah. And I mean, to add to that as well, I think personally, even before COVID, I'm very bad. 90% of my transaction happens on my Apple Pay, and if you look at the overall consumer, you would just spend and go, and you don't really want to be bothered about anything else. And I know how many times they've asked me to give my email address for additional receipt or give my if I have a loyalty card, and I just don't. I don't even have my wallet at this point. so being able to, but I spend a lot on various merchants, and I love to get that. That loyalty recognition, but equally they would love to understand who I am and how I shop, and being able to Ash's point, make data-driven decision about me as a consumer. And I think that there are not many more seamless ways to do that other than leveraging the card linking technology.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. So I think it's pretty clear what the key benefit is to the consumer, right? You've both talked now about the seamless experience, and obviously, Sina, you touched on the fact that trends are changing, and we are not using, especially in the UK. UK is so fast in adopting new technologies such as Apple Pay and mobile wallets and all of these different things, and companies really need to be ready to adapt to these. But could you perhaps discuss and shed some light on why the payment data is so important to the company? So the kind of the other side of the benefits of this to the actual brands using it.
Yeah, I just to take that back a bit, I think payment data is just one piece of the jigsaw. There are a lot of other data points that are, equally important, but the payment data is sort of, you can't finalize the puzzle if you haven't got the final piece of jigsaw. So I think a great benefit for the merchants or businesses engaging with this type of technology is that they don't have to, it's as seamless for them as it is for the consumer. So they don't have to integrate or change anything in the POS system. They don't have to train staff. There's no human interaction, and they can actually leverage the quality of that payment data and the real-timeness of the payment data to engage customers there and then. And so I think, understanding how someone is spending and behaving across multiple touch points is important, because that data, the payment data being one element of it, will go into a pot to be able to create a better user experience next time, or even at the spot. So I think you can say a lot of things about footfall and how many people come in, how many people shop, and who shops where and what. But unless you know who that person is, then that's sort of, you need to acquire that information over and over again. So I think that's very important, to be able to attribute that spend, that transaction, to a user ID, and do that in a seamless way without bothering someone, or without investing millions of pounds to create a like another Dunham style program.
Yeah.
Achille, do you want to add?
Yeah, no, I think I would agree with that. It's about that's why the synergy between a company like Fidel and white label loyalty is very strong, because we get that clean data, and then we are kind of the data hub to add additional data sources to enrich that experience. But the real-time element and being able to actually notify the customers that, yes, we've seen that you made a transaction, and also notifying when the transaction has been cleared. In some cases, we have businesses that also want to understand what's in the basket, and you can just say, okay, thank you for the transaction, please scan your receipt as well. And you can just kind of take them on that journey and create that fuller picture of the customer. And I think that's really where the power of that comes in. And you would say 99% of loyalty programs today are only transaction based. That's what's happening. And with an event-based loyalty solution like white label, you can get the best type of clean data from card linking with Fidel, for instance, but then combine that with all those different touch points and data points that are all equally important that to really use to change behavior and encourage behavior. And that's kind of where I see all this fitting in nicely together.
Yeah. And actually, to that point as well, when it comes to the visual receipt element, we, once again, with the payment data, have a unique identifier for that transaction. So you can scan a digital receipt, but you can also, or you can scan a receipt, but you could also leverage the data that gets passed on via Fidel to be able to attribute transaction data or payment data with product data, to be able to deliver a seamless digital receipt experience as well. And so this is the beautiful thing with clean data, is you can actually pinpoint it to so many things. Now, another point I would say, and Achille, you might be able to agree with this, but a lot of programs, a lot of merchants will say, we've got 1 million people in a loyalty program, we're great, fantastic. But then when you look under the hood, you see that 1 million people is 1 million people from the point they started the business 20 years ago to today. But if you look at the monthly active users of that data, let's say it's 150,000. But so from the get-go, you have this massive delta. But then when you look into how many card transactions that business processes on a quarterly basis, versus how many of those card transactions are actually identifiable, it's even less than that. So when you put it at black and white, you actually see like, okay, right. So this is, we think we have this much information, but actually the opted in, amount of people who've actually said, yes, you can target me, you can email me, much less, but also it's this massive data leak. Every day, every transaction is data leak. And when you sort of break it down to that level, the penny kind of drops, and they understand, okay, now I can take this concept of card linking, because it's still to, most of the our clients or prospects we talk to a concept, but then bake that into what they do to make a necessity, and that's where we will work with someone like White Label Loyalty to make that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. It's yeah, the synergies are strong.
Yeah. Well, that's brilliant. That pretty much leads me to kind of the next part and then my next question. You have both now touched on this, how, you know, it's great to have the data, but obviously you have to be able to work with them well, and it's not enough, as Sina said, to have just the payment data. It's crucial, but if you only have that, then, you know, you're not going to get that far. So could you perhaps talk about sort of the best practices for anyone who's still not really sure how that's then translates into real results, you know, into the strategy, into how do you then drive repeat purchase, etc. How can all of this data and all of this technology can then be leveraged for marketing and retention strategy and all of that? How can that actually be, you know, taken down the route?
Yeah, I mean, I can go first. So the one thing to remember is that when accessing payment data for Visa, Mastercard, and Amex, there are quite a lot of there are a lot of frameworks that one must adhere to, right? It's not just sort of you can access the data and that's it. You can get bombarded by various things. You know, we need to respect the privacy policy, and we need to respect the way this data can be used for retention, but not necessarily to, you know, bombard people with marketing. But it's all about understanding how people are spending and where they are spending, who they are, and being able to give them a better experience next time. And there are a million and one ways of doing this. It really depends on the client and their needs, but having the sort of tools to do it, and then you need someone to be able to actually execute that for you. And that's where I leave it to the loyalty professionals to execute the loyalty strategy. But what we do is we provide the tools, basically.
Yeah, so I think if I follow on from that, so really when that data source comes in, it comes in a clean way, which allows our loyalty engine to be able to act upon it. And because it's an event-based system, and we can make any event rewardable, it kind of happens in the background. And then we have the tools in place then to help with the segmentation. So the segmentation doesn't only have to be based on how much they spend, but it depends on the levers that the business want to pull on. So if you want to increase your frequency of purchase, then there's a strategy for that. If you want to incentivize people to spend over a certain amount, because that's part of your business plan, and you can put a strategy in place for that. And also, you know, based on those transactions they come in, the different data points that we have in the loyalty engine, and the rules that are set by the business of that vision with the loyalty program, we can then start creating these bespoke segments for the business to help fuel the marketing and retention strategy. And we also have this AI module, which works in the background, which helps predict customer churn. So we can see if the business tells us that actually a good customer visits them once every 3 weeks. We can identify the ones that have not visited for longer periods of time and automatically re-engage them. And also attribute an estimated lifetime value on the customers as they join and as they actually progress during the loyalty. So I think, you know, the source is getting the data in. Once it gets into our magic box, then there's a lot of things that can be done. So really, you know, data is the source of a good marketing and retention strategy.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I love that you mentioned about the different levers and the different strategies. You know, it's so true. It's so easy to get stuck in the thinking of customer loyalty is all about just driving repeat visit. Well, it's not quite true, is it? Right? There's different things that you can be trying to influence, and obviously you need the data in order to be able to do that and to incentivize them. But off the back of that, actually, are there any specific industries or different businesses that you see that can really best profit from the use of card linking, or is it really that you have found that it's across the board, it can be useful for all types of businesses?
Yeah, I mean, you're asking the sales guy to say who will benefit everyone, but I guess to be honest with you, any business who would like to build a type of frictionless customer experience based on real-time granular data, and obviously card payments, card data, they will have to accept card payments, but most businesses do, and that's really where we would see this fit. I mean, right now our clients stretch across employee benefits platform, frequent fly programs, cashback programs, proprietary loyalty programs, shopping centers. They all have this common denominator of having a reward element or like a loyalty element attached to it, because in order for the cardholder to have that transaction data shared with a loyalty program, they must be rewarded in some way, shape, or another. So anyone like that really would benefit from it.
Yeah, and I think if I add to that in terms of the businesses that we've identified, because we get inquiries from businesses coming to us for a loyalty program and then wanting to use card linking as the method of linking up and getting data from customers and rewarding them. And that's some amazing locations, business sectors that I think would really benefit from card linking. And one of the main ones I would say is shopping centers. It's such a fragmented place, different brands, all different point of sales. It's very hard to unify a shopping center, and not everybody wants a gift card. You just want to be able to get rewarded for your purchases. And with card linking, you can enroll the whole shopping center. The customer just enrolls their cards on multiple cards and then transact as normal. And then as the shopping center management team could actually see how much their marketing strategy is impacting the overall spend in the center, and they start getting insight that they could only dream of before. So I think that particular use case is fantastic, and especially now after COVID, when shopping centers open again, I would urge any shopping center establishment to actually look at this as a really viable option for it. Other use cases I could see is cashback solutions, coalition programs where they're trying to unify multiple different merchants again. If you are running the Leeds City Centre loyalty program, or then it's very difficult to actually get that to work. And card linking is another way to make it happen. In a traditional, in a way that people actually use to transact, just using the cards as normal. You enroll these merchants and just make it happen, and the cashback can then go back and get turned into rewards vouchers, which our system can do. So I think there are so many really good use cases, and I'm anticipating that those use cases will actually start to explode after this pandemic, because people are getting more and more used to just using the cards, and they're getting more and more comfortable as well. You're getting a bit lazy, don't we? So we just want to do one thing and then it just happens in the background, so I think I think card linking will start booming in 2021.
Yeah, we have some very interesting use cases that will be soon announced, and also in addition to loyalty, I mean, Fidel, in terms of other use cases that we are exploring, as I said, is leveraging the transaction data for digital receipt use cases, allowing the merchants directly to have access to that product level data, as well as or marrying up Fidel data with their own data to access the product level data. Online to offline attribution for marketplaces such as an open table, for instance, being able to understand the incremental sale that they're driving to the restaurants in store post booking. Card linking can then also be leveraged there as the attributor of Sina booking. They see that, but how much Sina is spending at the restaurants that is participating in the scheme. So companies like Square Meal have adopted this approach as well. We are looking at enabling the transaction data to be leveraged within the expense management use case. So today, if you're a big organization, you don't have to issue expense management card and bog down accounts with receipts. You can simply link your card to a platform and spend as you would it normally. And if it's an expense, you can swipe in towards the app and you can take a picture of the card if needed. That's it, very simple. So there are a lot of interesting things that will be built on top of the data, and a lot of use cases that will be explored way beyond the framework of loyalty. But as of today, I think this is, unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to put it, we haven't even scratched the surface, because my partner's mom doesn't know about card linking. I haven't succeeded. So we've got this amazing journey to embark on, and we're very much looking forward to doing it with partners like White Label Loyalty and such to actually build that innovation. As I said, we are providing the connectivity, we're providing the tools, and that's about it. We do that very, very, very well. And we let the innovation, the building of the loyalty engine happen elsewhere.
That's so exciting to hear about the prospects for the future. And you're so right. There's so many developments that are coming so fast, and the use cases are changing every single day. So it's absolutely a wonderful opportunities for the different use cases for card linking. I love that both of you have mentioned both offline and online use cases. I can totally see. I would have never thought about it for places like OpenTable, but it makes so much sense when you think about it. And then in terms of the shopping centers, I don't think I've ever seen a loyalty program for a shopping center, but I would definitely enroll. I mean, that sounds great. If I could just use my card and, get rewarded, that's what everyone should want, right?
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So one thing that I was wondering about, because Sina, you mentioned obviously that you had worked with all the major kind of card providers, Visa and MasterCard, Amex. And then we're talking about all these use cases. You also mentioned that customers obviously also want to be rewarded for providing the data, which is understandable. And then there's this whole question about data security and data protection, which is becoming more and more prevalent and so important, and more customers are becoming aware of what how companies are using their data, and they're a lot more selective about what data they provide. So could you touch on the security and data protection of card linking?
Yes, of course. And just to your point of customers being selective, I mean, I think they should be. I mean, I personally, I work in the industry, but I'm still hesitant to engaging or signing up to certain programs where I'm required to, expose my entire bank account data for a value exchange that is nominal. And so at Fidel, as I mentioned earlier, we are PCI compliant, and PCI compliance is basically the payments card industry data security standards, or PCI DSS, and basically says that everyone who accesses the data or sees that card data must have a level of security. And we have a PCI compliant iframe as mobile or web SDK. And so our clients are often, 99% are not PCI compliant, and they shouldn't have to be. So they use our iframe in order to capture the customer's payment card. So we tokenize that long card number, and then we destroy that long card number. So we don't even store the card data. Everything is tokenized. So you linking your card in program X, that card will be tokenized uniquely in that program. So there's nothing else there to basically be transferred elsewhere. And so security is very important. It's paramount. It's one of the most important pieces for Fidel, because we deal with that type of data, and we are very proudly we get biannually tested by external party to make sure that security is on point, and all of our clients who use our SDK can confidently do that without having to be PCI compliant.
Oh, that's really interesting. I had no idea. And so tell me, but because obviously you have done so much, you must have done so much work in order to ensure this and to be compliant. And then you work with other businesses who are using your card linking. Do you have any recommendations for those businesses for how to communicate that security correctly to consumers?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there are a few of our clients, actually, most of our clients do that very successfully, but that's super important. So there are three main sort of things in a successful card link program. And communication is, or marketing communication is one of it. Having the right type of proposition or value exchange is another, and engage customers. So yes, they can confidently say this is as secure as your banks. On sort of security, and make sure that confidently communicate that the card data is only used for this program. We don't ask for the CVC number or CVV number, so we don't ever take money out of the accounts. So we literally want the long card number, expiry date, and that is it. That's all we need to be able to track that card with the opt-in of the customer at the participating locations only. So we only see transactions the customer is making at, business X. We wouldn't necessarily see, we would not see all of the transactions. And I think that's very important to highlight.
Absolutely. I think that's super important for both for the businesses to understand and to also be able to communicate that correctly, as well as obviously for the end users as well. Great. Okay, so you have already started touching on this, but for the last question, believe it or not, we're getting to the pretty much last question. I wanted to see if you have any predictions on kind of the key trends that you see in the payment data industry, and around card linking, around loyalty and data, all of this. What are your predictions for the future?
Well, I think, it says that in your background. We are the future of loyalty.
Exactly.
That was an easy question.
Yeah.
Sina, you are, what painting is that?
I, as I said, from a Fidel standpoint, we are definitely exploring other use cases way beyond loyalty, but we also see that we haven't even scratched the surface of loyalty at the same time. I believe there will be more innovation in the market of other use cases that are not only with sort of a link your card, spend at merchant X and get Y reward, but also will be able to attribute that transaction data to SKU level offers, so to actual product level data, to be able to give people even more value back when they are transacting. There are, I think that's probably the next level of the sort of card linked loyalty or card linked offers as it is.
Yeah, I think from our perspective, we always innovating, and because we are that data hub, really, it means that as innovation happens, it will be accessible in our platform, and that's kind of how we always kind of stay in the forefront of innovation. And really, I wanted to touch base on some of the security elements. I think sometimes it's a little bit confused between the payment data and the GDPR compliant personal identifiable data as well. And really, once that PCI compliant data source comes from card linking and from Fidel, when it gets into the loyalty engine, we deal with all the GDPR compliant side of the program. So the customer can kind of add the preferences, how they want to be contacted, really kind of, that's where the value exchange happens in terms of transferring data against rewards. And I think it's quite important to understand that there are two different steps happening here. And then you need to kind of guide the customer through to do that. But to answer your other question in terms of the trends and the future, I would say that contactless payments is happening everywhere, and I think that's going to continue to grow. We're both Scandinavians, and this is nothing new to us. But if you look at what's happened in Sweden, I think it's a good indication to see what's coming to the rest of the world. I think in terms of payments, personally, I haven't touched money for several months probably. And I think what's happened during this pandemic as well has supercharged everything that's happening. People's work habits, people's life in general, and people's relationship to technology. I think it's changed a lot as well.
Just watch his face.
Watch his face. I love that.
Things happening between us, so it's very soon. We will announce shortly.
That's very exciting. Well, I think on that note, it's brilliant to kind of conclude. So what we've learned, I think, would be that card linking is really just a fantastic way for businesses to not only gain clean transaction data, but also mainly a frictionless method for consumers to benefit from giving that data away securely, as we have learned as well. And so we've seen that there's so many different use cases, from B2B to B2C, from offline to online. And as Sina has pointed out as well, very interestingly, there's a lot more kind of coming in the future, more developments, and just keeping up with the technology developments as they come. But it's key for kind of the segmentation, the understanding of the customers, and clever use of data, not just collecting it, but obviously being able to translate that into insights and into a successful strategy, and to eventually retaining more customers and creating true customer loyalty, which is fantastic. So thank you very much for tuning in into our first of our loyalty discussions with White Label Loyalty. We have lots more exciting topics in the pipeline, so keep an eye out for more. And if you want to, if you've enjoyed this, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, where you will find this to see any more videos, and follow both Fidel and White Label Loyalty on LinkedIn and other social media. And a big thank you to our guests today, Sina, Saidinayer, and Achille Traore. Gentlemen, you've been great. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Very much.
Great.
Cheers, guys. Have a great day. Cheers. Thank you, Christina. Thanks. Bye.